Hello and welcome to Poolside Problems. I'm Tor.
And I'm Elle. Poolside Problems is a podcast about our lives as 30-something-ish women living on a small island.
From moving abroad and finding friendship in unlikely places, the fun and the hard times, including some of the bigger problems life throws at us, like fertility, relationships, moving countries and everything in between.
Not forgetting our poolside problems, our daily rants that aren't really serious problems at all. We can't promise it will be hilarious, but there will be laughter and honesty and maybe even some special guests along the way.
We hope you enjoy tuning in to our girl chats each week. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our Instagram account for updates. Hello, this is Tor.
And I'm Elle.
Welcome back. This is week 2 of our poddy.
4 weeks later, but yeah.
Also, I can't believe I just called it a poddy because I was listening to a podcast earlier and they were taking the mick out of calling it that, and that must have stuck in my brain because I don't think I've ever called it that in my life.
But we call the voice notes voices, so
True, but I don't know how I feel about poddy.
maybe I think I might have said poddy before.
Maybe. That's funny though, because I definitely literally listened to a podcast this morning and that's come up.
What podcast was that?
So that was Parenting Hell, which is my favourite podcast. So it's Josh Widdicombe and Rob Beckett, UK comedians, and they started it. It was a COVID Parenting Hell one. Lockdown Parenting Hell, actually, I think it was called. And then obviously they're not locked down anymore and they still have it. And it is by far my favourite podcast. I listen to it in the car and I laugh out loud.
My favourite thing about it, not having actually listened to it, is the thing you said about the feature they do about one thing that you don't tell your partner.
At the end of every podcast.
I love it.
So
I
good.
think about it all the time when I don't tell my husband something that about his parenting that maybe mildly annoys me, that I don't say. And it's true. You have to just sometimes let these things go, don't you? But
it's good because some guests fully go in, they ask the question and the guest's yeah, actually I've got one, yes, this. And then some guests are oh no, my partner's perfect at everything, it's fine, and both's fine, it's nice, but it is funny when they go in actually.
It's I can't think what radio show it is to credit it, but they do a feature, I'm pretty sure it's on Radio 2, about what's your favourite hob plate on the hob.
Oh,
and which ring do you use the most?
is it Claudia Winkleman or not?
I think it is Claudia, yeah. And it's which one do you go to with your go-to hob plate? I don't know why, it really tickles me. I actually really find it funny.
Oh my God, that's
because
brilliant.
it's so true. Everyone does have one.
Mine's the bottom right.
Front right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But what about if the boys get their hand on it?
Do you know what? Actually, so since the boys have got that bit taller,
Okay.
I actually have started using the
I'm back left.
back right.
Okay, back left, yeah. It's the worst one as well. It's the smallest one for me because we have a gas hob, so the flames come
Back
up.
left is.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't use that one.
No, but it's just, for me, it's the
Furthest.
furthest away. It's the closest to the knife block. I feel like that's just the ring-fenced area.
That's so funny. Yeah, I actually, because your child's a bit older and taller than mine, I actually have only had to just start thinking about it, but the front was my favourite.
And actually, now I mentioned it, my poor friend Kat came round, our poor friend Kat came round a few weeks ago, and it was about the end of a month of solo parenting for me. Not solo parenting, that's a lie. No childcare. And it was dinner time on a Friday, and Albie put his hand on the hob just after I literally turned away, took the pan to the sink to drain the pasta, and he put his hand on the metal plate there and stuff. So yeah, she was already helping me feed my youngest and her own baby, and then helping me put trying to force a 2-year-old to put their hand in ice was. Yeah, it was tricky, but we got through it. We survived, and he's never going to put his hand on the hob again. So maybe I'll move to the front plate.
No, don't, because you don't want to risk it. Oh my God, that's actually really funny because I'm going to digress a bit here, but I was actually with the same friend Kat yesterday, and I put both the boys on a seat at the table, and I turned around for 2 seconds, as you do, and Sonny fell off the chair and he bumped his head, but twice, and he had 2 eggs on his head. And she was like, do we need to get some ice? I was like, yeah, maybe we should. So poor Kat was having to deal with that as well, while my other child's running in an opposite direction, and hers was just sat really nicely in a high chair, not moving.
Oh,
I mean,
so
hers can't
lucky.
walk yet, so she's got it to come, but I was like, oh no. podcast to deal with all
I
this.
feel like her being there meant that I had had a glass of wine, so maybe I would have been quicker acting and not let him. But also, if she hadn't been there and that had happened, I don't know what would have gone down. Because I'm a bit of a like panicker. I'm not great in I don't think I'd be great in an instant moment of a crisis. I will like freeze and cry.
See, I think I'd be all right. I think my husband James would be worse. Like, if the boys fell over, I'm like, right, come on, up you get. Are you okay? James is like, ah! I'm like, it's not the reaction. You're going to scare them. Oh, dear. Anyway, yeah, God, kids' injuries. That's a whole another chat, I reckon.
That's a topic that
Yeah,
we're planning on getting onto.
What we were going to talk about is our favourite podcast. And actually, at the beginning of this, I happened to just be able to go straight in on mine.
Nice little segue.
Yeah, it was. But if you haven't listened to that, you definitely need to. And actually, my sister was a guest on a Parenting Hell podcast.
Was she?
And it was when we were in the UK, and she'd actually just been looking after the twins, and she was late for the recording because Sonny had fallen asleep, and she was like hugging him, and then she was literally like, oh no, I've got to do a podcast, and I wasn't there, so she like left her mother-in-law with Sonny on the sofa asleep, and she ended up talking to them about like the fact that she was looking after the twins, and that we listened to their podcast in Bermuda, and they were loving it.
Oh,
Yeah.
The twins are famous.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But yeah, if you haven't listened to that, that is like my laugh out loud. You can relate to everything on the podcast. They're like so real and honest, which is like totally my vibe.
Also, though, what before Parenting Hell, you did have a real favourite.
Yeah.
What's your other favourite?
My other favourite is Shag Married Annoyed.
That's also laugh out
Oh,
loud.
good. Oh, again, because they're so real. Like, they're a husband and wife, if you haven't heard of it. And they're just so real and normal. Have you listened to that one?
I have done, yeah. I'm not like very tech savvy in my car, and I feel like the best time for me to listen to podcasts would be car journeys. You know, like doing little errands and stuff.
Oh, well, let me help you set this up.
I do. I need to. I know it's all there. I just need to
Do it.
like do it, because I do really. I mean, I probably do love like the wishy-washy ones, more like mental health, not like mental, what they call like well-being, manifesting.
Wishy-washy.
No, that's my vibe. But I did love the Jessie Ware one.
Table Manners.
Table Manners.
It's another firm favourite.
And actually anything that features like a guest and ask them loads of questions about their life. That's my absolute favourite thing. Even just like in a blog post, I like reading like interviews with people and stuff. And what's the other one? Oh, real crime ones.
Yeah, see, that's not my vibe at all.
During lockdown, when we were doing our like daily 30-minute walks, that a friend of mine recommended a few, and I got really into them. They were great. The ones about like, it's just come into a series, Inventing Anna.
Oh yeah,
Anna Delvey, that was a good one. Although her voice was quite annoying. And I can't think of the other one.
I can't deal with stuff like that. I can't deal with anything like
The
that.
Bitcoin woman. That was it. The Bitcoin woman. Oh my god, so good. She disappears. The crypto queen. That's it. That's what it's called. The missing crypto queen. That's a great one. What would you call it? Like journo, investigative drama. I don't know. I have no idea. But those podcasts, they're good too. But I do like a laugh out loud. I like that for my little Harbour Road drives.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, for me, I need it to take me away from like my normal life. Not like not in a horrible way. I don't need to be taken away from my life, but I just like to like laugh, and I don't like to be stressed. So anything with like Table Manners, that's a good show. I actually do listen to that quite religiously as well, and I find Lenny, Jessie Ware's mum, which probably drives
She's
her
amazing.
mad,
Yeah.
is really, really, really funny. Yeah. Oh God.
We need to get
Shag
Viv
Married
on this podcast, really, don't we?
Annoyed. Viv is my
Viv
mum.
and the prof.
Oh my god, and the Prof Sales mum. Oh my god, we totally should.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, once we get these going a little bit longer, we'd love to get guests. And they won't be they'll just be all random people, but surrounding like and talking about us living on an island and things like that. Because
Speaking of which, what have you been up to?
this week, what have I been up to? So, James has been away this week actually. Time of recording is
Been in parenting hell.
a Tuesday. I've been in parenting hell. and he left last Wednesday morning. And I do have help. I do have a nanny, but she's not full time. And I had the whole weekend on my own with the twins, which we had a really lovely weekend, but it's just tough and it's just exhausting. And they wake up early, and as well as the physical side, like I was just saying to Elle before we started recording, is like it's the mental side, and that tires you out just as much because you're just thinking about everything. You don't have anyone else to kind of share that load with. So Monday yesterday, I was at my real low. I was exhausted. Today's Tuesday. The nanny's come in, and I've actually done some errands, and I've kind of taken a bit of time out, and I feel so much more alive today.
We were saying it doesn't take long to like just recalibrate. You don't need many hours of just like off time, but you just need, as soon as you've had it, you're like, oh, what was I so stressed about? Why was I so tired yesterday? But then when you're in it, like you said, no one else can, even if we've all been there, you just can't, like, you just sort of can't really identify with it unless you're in it. And
you can't.
No one else can, everyone can be like, oh no, I've been there, it sucks, but it's just not as bad, it's nowhere near as bad as actually just being there.
No.
Home, yeah.
And also, like, even like when the boys go to sleep, like, you're still like, you've got the monitor, and like, obviously they sleep through the night, but what if they don't? And like mine wake up early, really early. So I'm just always thinking, oh, I just need to go to bed now because they're going to get up early. I'm just constantly thinking about them. So, yeah, I've just been kind of trying to keep myself busy, trying to keep the twins busy and happy. And
packing bags, unpacking bags.
Yeah, I mean, the packing of bags and unpacking of bags to take the kids out is insane.
Especially when there's sand involved.
Yeah.
That's a poolside problem.
That's definitely a poolside problem. Sand everywhere. But yeah, that's been my week. I've had a lovely time with them. It's been nice, but I'm looking forward to my husband getting back. How about you?
Ooh.
What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I feel like this is my first normal week, and it's only Tuesday, so it could be like could change.
You're in the UK. When was that?
We were in the UK 2 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 weeks before that, we were in Antigua, which was really lovely. But I do have a bit of a joke with our children's paediatrician at the moment because I spend all my time there that I think I deserve a parking space. And so yeah, what have I been doing? Like just trying to get back to normal, but it doesn't take long to get back to normal.
No.
It's just like coughs and colds and COVID rules and travel rules. Yeah, just things like that. I don't know. Then there's the packing and unpacking of bags, but to travel to the UK and then...
And are you a like unpacker on the day, or are you the case is there for a good week or two?
In this case, actually one case is still there. It's empty, but it's just still there. I think it's got like a wire in it or something. It's just too much for us to do. Yeah, I don't know. Well, actually, we got back really late. Our flight was really delayed. So it took a few days to unpack in this occasion. But actually, we're lucky because we have now having our house in the UK. It's not like coming back from a holiday or a trip where you've been like traveling around and you've got everything needs washing and everything needs sorting and stuff at the end of the trip. Actually, we came back in fairly good shape this time.
Yeah.
Partly because I didn't do anything was in the UK because I had norovirus.
Dreaded norovirus.
But yeah, it's just nice to be back. Bermuda's really nice weather.
We've been lucky for March.
Yeah.
Or Feb.
Yeah, have some beach days and things like that. So it's been good. And we're revving up to the summer. My first summer not pregnant. Well, actually not my first summer not pregnant, but
first non-COVID summer not pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, life is starting.
I do feel like, sorry, I'm just thinking about the unpacking. Like, I used to be a real, like, get home, unpack the case. And I am still like that. It will happen in a few days of us being back. But there's always one case lingering about with, like, as you say, a wire in it, or, like some of the kids' stuff that we don't use daily. But I'm like, oh, I can't remember where that lives. Or, like, yeah, it's just so
And
funny.
just, like, the kid, like, Albie has, like, a little camera, and it needs charge. You know, I don't want to just put it in the cupboard and like not charge it, but I need to get it out and charge it. And it's just like too many things in the way of
Things.
just completing a task. If I don't think I can complete it in a couple of minutes, I'm not interested.
Yeah, exactly. And you get so sidetracked, don't you?
Bitty.
You're like, oh, bitty.
Also, we have we have a real first world problem here. But our laundry room is upstairs, which in loads of ways is really helpful, like really great.
Yeah.
Because it's right by the dirty clothes, like the laundry basket and stuff, and sort of out the way. But then it's really out the way when, you're just downstairs and we dry our clothes outside, just like carry everything down and up, and like it's just bitty.
See,
It's a
it's
bitty
funny
task.
because I find that your laundry room is upstairs. This is such a boring chat, but I do think it's very relatable. I literally think it's genius. Like, when I have a house, I'm going to put my laundry room upstairs, because if you have your laundry room downstairs, yeah, okay, if you hang your washing outside, then obviously you're going up and down with it. But the majority of things happen upstairs. Like, you get unchanged and showered upstairs. If you have a house that's got an upstairs, downstairs, obviously.
Unless you have a child that vomits a lot and poo-namis a lot.
But that is only for a short amount of your lifetime.
It's true.
I feel like when you get to like that, out of that age, having it upstairs is like genius, because in reality most people tumble dry their clothes. If you hang them out, like, I love hanging my clothes out, but in Bermuda you only have a short window when it's not humid to hang them out, and I actually don't have a washing line at the minute. It's something I do need to rectify.
I need a poll on this, actually, because
Well, I thought you meant like a poll for your washing line.
oh, no, yeah, I need a poll for that too. But how it's poll, right? Poll.
Yeah,
I said it
yeah,
right. Okay. Because I would tumble dry stuff for speed. We live in a humid country; things never dry. Like, and when we lived in London, we didn't really have outside space to dry stuff. Like, space is more premium. But my husband really is not into drying things. He thinks it shrinks everything. But then how does the tumble dryer like exist and in most people's houses if that is the truth? Because people would not be able to afford to buy all their clothes all the time if they shrank them all the time.
See, I think that is such a like old school thing.
it?
Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that's like what parents like think. They're like, no, tumble dryer shrinks everything. Whereas actually nowadays, I feel like clothes, I don't know, I feel like I could feel a fabric and be like, right, that won't go in the tumble dryer, that one can. And some of my clothes that say they can't be tumble dried, I'm like, that can definitely be tumble dried. And look, sometimes you fuck up and they shrink.
There's a certain amount of collateral, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the majority of stuff, you're going to be fine.
Who tumble dries and who dries outside in 2022?
Okay, maybe we'll do an
Need to know.
Instagram poll. We'll put it up. We'll put it up on our Instagram. And I want you to tell us. That's a good poll for sure.
A good poll for our washing line.
That is definitely a poolside problem, isn't it? Like, oh no, we can't hang our washing outside because it's so bloody humid in Bermuda.
Are we going to say our poolside problem today, or is that it?
No, I'm trying to think what my poolside problem. I feel like that is a good poolside problem. Like, oh, I can't hang my washing outside because it's so humid.
Deliveries.
Deliveries was another one, yes. So I think we touched on this last week, but getting stuff delivered to Bermuda can, not always, but can be a right royal pain in the arse, can't it? So I was actually just saying, I ordered a dress from a company. It's a UK-based company. And I think I ordered it 4 days ago, and I've had a note to say that it's going to be delivered today to my house, which is brilliant. But then Elle said, you ordered something when?
Early Feb, I believe. And it's still somewhere in LA, but it came from Europe, not even England. So I don't know why it went all the way to LA, not Ohio.
Oh, it's just so
Maybe it
strange.
actually came from
So it's so convoluted to get things into Bermuda because it is a tax-free country. Everything has
income tax free.
Income tax-free, sorry. Everything has to come through customs, and customs hold up a lot of stuff. Also, there's different companies like DHL and FedEx that come through different routes. The normal postal service is unbelievably slow at times, but then sometimes it's not. You have to go and pick things up from the post office and pay customs. So there's just loads of different ways of getting post to us. And actually, I had something free sent to me for the boys. And I always say to people, if they want to send me a freebie, look, post is notoriously bad. Just send it to like my address in the UK. And when I go back, I'll pick it all up. And this company were like, no, it's fine. I found a company, they'll send it to you. And basically, it's gone missing. And I don't know where it is. I've tried to contact them. The company's tried to contact them. And we're in a bit of a stalemate at the moment. But like,
I think that's a worldwide issue right now. It's slightly amplified by Bermuda living because we're on an island and there are these restrictions and things get held up at customs. And there is a few, like what you just said about the kind of grey areas of free stuff. But I do get the impression that delivery issues are like worldwide. Like, what I was going to say, actually, just you made me think of, is does everyone know why you get sent free stuff?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know why I get sent free stuff?
Maybe talk about your Instagram.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You?
So, I don't know. So I basically spoke quite openly about my fertility issues on my Instagram. And I did it because every time I spoke about my issues to anybody close to me, they were always really like shocked. They didn't really know how to react. And obviously having like miscarriages and things is very shocking. It's horrible. And I just felt like people would be like, oh, I know someone that happened to. Or like the more you talk about it, the more common you realise it is, but people don't talk about it enough. So one day I did a video on my Instagram talking about, at the time, I think I just had my 3rd miscarriage. And it got shared and actually kind of created a bit of a buzz, and I got hell loads more followers basically from that. And then it just started my Instagram page up, and it was like I talked about the miscarriages, how and why I'd had them, and then the next steps that I was going to take, kind of about the testing around having the miscarriages, and then what happened going forward. So basically I tried naturally 3 times, had 3 miscarriages, all quite early on, not that makes any difference, but they were early miscarriages. And then, so most places won't test you until you've had at least 3 because they are so common, and each pregnancy is so different that you could have a miscarriage once and then never have one again.
And there's, isn't there also, especially in the UK, differences in boroughs and local areas have different policies on fertility treatment and stuff like that?
The UK is crazy. Like, yeah, on the NHS, it just really depends. It's a bit of a postcode lottery about what fertility stuff you get when and things like that. But as a rule around the world, I think in a lot of places it is 3 miscarriages until they'll even test you, and that's kind of NHS or private. Obviously, if you want to get tested after your first one, then and you want to pay for it, then great. But yeah, so we did 3 miscarriages. Then we had some testing done, and we literally got tested for everything. I was like, I couldn't even tell you. You'd have to go back over my Instagram. This is one of those things that my brain definitely blocks out horrible stuff, and I'm not very good with the right words for things. But yeah, so I had 3 miscarriages, had the testing done, and they kind of figured out that I have got something which is called killer cells, which is like a really high immune system, and your body fights your pregnancy. And it's a bit controversial. Some people don't believe that it's a thing. Some people really do. But I kind of found a clinic. I am proof that it is a thing and the treatment works. But even some people would still deny that. And then the 4th, I had a natural pregnancy, but they gave me drugs around that pregnancy. And that didn't work. And it just looked like at that time, my body just was too strong. So I ended up having IVF so that we could manage the drugs before I'd even got pregnant. And then I had drips throughout my pregnancy in the first 15 weeks. And then the pregnancy, thankfully, did happen, and I ended up having twins, which is exciting. But yeah, the reason kind of my Instagram blew up was because I shared all of this. And luckily through sharing of this, I do get kind of some freebies, which is nice because people obviously want me to talk about them on my Instagram, which I only do if I've used the product and if I like it. But yeah, so...
And you won on the telly?
I did. I went on the telly. I went on this morning to talk about it with my sister. So my sister's also Frankie Bridge. So she used to be in X Club Juniors, the Saturdays, and she is now on Loose Women. It's probably some of the biggest things she's done. So yeah, I went on with her, and I've been on her podcast actually talking about it, and a few other podcasts. And I just felt like, one, it was therapy for me talking about it. And two, if I could just help somebody else not feel as alone, or feel like even somebody that hasn't been through it understanding a bit more about it, so that if somebody did speak to them about it, how they could kind of communicate with them, everything around it.
One of the loveliest things that came out of it at the beginning, well, we've talked about how we first met, but when you told me you'd had a miscarriage, I immediately felt like comfortable sharing that I'd had a miscarriage recently too. With you, and I hadn't told people, and I had felt like it was really taboo, and like you said, people didn't know how to react. And I certainly wouldn't have shared it, or like Tom wouldn't have shared it with his guy mates that kind of openly, if at all, unless he needed to really. But the men that messaged you, like the other halves of people who had or hadn't experienced it, but like who were so like people that you wouldn't have expected to be so like confronting and open about it, or like messaging were like, oh, well done for sharing, and like, you know, we're here for you and stuff. And I thought that was really nice, because, you know, if us women think that like stuff's taboo or like not that talked about, the boys are a whole different ball game, aren't they? So
yeah, they really are. And I actually did get my husband James to do an Instagram post about his feelings, and his like doesn't talk about anything. He doesn't have social media. And actually he said yes. He was like, straight away, he was like, yeah, I'll do that for you, because actually it is good to get the guy's perspective, and it is good to get guys talking about it. And like, yeah, my Instagram following is probably like 98% women. But there is like a small 2% that are guys. And I do get a lot of messages from the guys. And actually a lot of my husband's really close friends, when we were going through it, were like talked openly to us about it, which I thought was really, really nice, because guys, as you say, don't talk about it. And they were kind of pleased that we were quite open about it. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster couple of years for us. And as I say, we are so lucky we've got twins now. And I do continue to share the twins on my Instagram, which obviously straight away I was like, I understand if you were following me about fertility and now I have babies, unfollow me, because it might be hard. But also some people are like, absolutely not, you give us hope, and we're hoping that we'll come out the other side as well.
I think you're very very cognizant of like something that might be triggering as well, though. So it wouldn't be, I'm also not on the same side of it now, having two children myself, that that it's not a sensitive topic for me right now.
No.
But so I wouldn't feel sensitive about something you posted, but I do think you're always really aware of it and stuff.
Yeah. No, I am. And like the thing is right now, like I'm considering maybe trying for another baby. It's definitely a lot of conversations happening around that. And I know that it could all happen again for me, and I know I'm a little bit more clued up because I've been through it, and I'm not so in the dark. But it's definitely a mindset, and I do follow other women that have been through it before me, and actually two girls particularly stick in my brain. One of them had quite a few miscarriages, had killer cells, had the drips and stuff, and had her little baby. And then now she's fallen pregnant naturally and has had not one drug in her whole pregnancy. Wow. And I'm like, wow, that is just so cool. And I just love following her. Whereas the other one tried naturally and it didn't work after her first. And she's gone back down the IVF and all the drips route. So I've seen both sides of like the second time around. And it's really interesting for me. And I've met people like these women on Instagram who I've never met face to face. But we like have nice relationships. We talk openly about stuff. And like that, yeah, one of them messaged me when she had her miscarriage, and then she shared that on her Instagram a little bit later. And like, it's just nice to have there's a podcast and an Instagram called The Worst Girl Gang Ever. And those girls are brilliant. But yeah, it's a shit girl gang to be in, but I'd rather be in it and be open and talking about it than being hidden away and feeling like crap, basically.
Well, also, one of the things I feel like we keep saying, oh, the podcast is going to be about that, and Poolside Problem is going to be about this and that and the other, and a bit aware of ourselves maybe in the first couple of episodes. But one of the things, we didn't want this to be like a fertility podcast or like parenting podcast or just an expat podcast. Like, we didn't want like a USP or a theme. It was just about being in our mid to late 30s, like having having girl chats and or sort of our life experiences and what's important, what happens to us right now, and that friendships or fertility stuff or being single, which neither of us are right now. But like there are so many anxieties in your 20s, and then being in your 30s is like kind of everything's way more real, and I feel much more content in myself in many ways, but but there are loads more like bigger problems in life, I guess, and it starts to kind of bring people together and apart, because you might have like different you might be single, or you might be trying for a baby, or you might have just had a baby, and and there are all different aspects of that. But I do think fertility has been quite a big thing as part of our journey, and it definitely was what brought us together as friends at the beginning to start.
And we know that people do things at different ages. Like, we've got friends that are still single. We've got friends that are having their eggs frozen. We've got friends that are like second marriage, maybe considering a second family. I wouldn't call it a second family, but like that second round. And there's people that have had babies in their 20s, 40s, 50s, whatever. But we kind of did go down like a similar age route of like meeting our partners, similar ages, having babies, getting married. Like, we didn't do it all in the same few years, but like we have kind of gone down a similar route. So the way we talk about on this podcast is kind of our experiences, and that's very much how my Instagram runs. I'm like, it's my experience. So when you're listening to us, that's kind of, we talk about ourselves a lot, and we hope that comes across.
For sure. And if I suddenly feel like nothing happens in my life, what the hell am I talking about? But we've just managed to talk for ages about it.
We literally have been talking for like over half an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess I'd love to hear more as well from our listeners, if we have any. No. I kept laughing to myself after our last recording because, like at myself actually, because at the end I went, bye. Which I don't know why I felt the need to repeat that. But I also remembered that every time I spoke to our listeners, I turned to the computer. Like,
I was actually going to mention this earlier when Elle was telling a story. She was of Albie burning himself. She was doing the actions of her taking the pot off the hob, and I was laughing to myself. I was like, I wish this was recorded because I'm only here. But you can't help it. It is funny, and you find yourself.
No, we're learning. We're learning.
And this is only our second podcast, so we probably don't have loads of listeners, but we would love to hear from you. If there are like issues and you feel like that things that we're talking about are relatable, or you want to hear us talk about, and obviously if it's not something that we haven't been through, we probably won't pick up on that. But if it's something that we have been through, and it might already be on our list of things we might talk about, but we would love to hear about things that you'd love to hear about, or like our experiences, or if you follow my Instagram and there's something you've picked up on that you want to chat about, then we're happy to like definitely take some input from you guys.
And I also really want to know if there's anyone who maybe from COVID has thought we're going to move abroad, or whether it's like taken a made you feel differently, because it's something that we've felt. I don't know, we've pretty much half our time living in Bermuda has been post or during COVID outbreak, but but actually when we were first living here, we were just settling in, and so there wasn't a question mark over like whether we'd be able to travel back to see our families and stuff. And I know you spent most of 2020 in the UK, but definitely living as an expat during this time has like raised questions for us about how, like, whether we'd want to be locked down and really far from our families again, but also the benefits of being here and like, living more of an outdoor lifestyle, and at times we were living, I had a hen do in June of COVID, like on a boat with like 25 people.
Yeah, I mean, that was good timing, I'm not going to lie.
And there were no cases on the island. So we were just living a, inverted commas, like normal life for a time. And then there's been other times when the schools have been closed and people don't. But I wonder if now I hadn't ever lived abroad, but I've been thinking about it, would now be the time that I might be thinking about, do you know what, we're going to... So I know loads of people move to the countryside in COVID. I wonder, is it going to stop people from moving abroad as much, or people moving back home? Or
That's a good question. So if you were thinking of leaving the country you live in, is it to go home, or have you thought, no, I'm ready to leave and go abroad now? Good question.
Yeah.
Let's put that one out there as well then.
And do you want to know what to pack?
Because that's a whole nother episode. Right, I think that's probably good.
Yeah, I think we're done here. Today it's time for Greek salad.
Yeah, we're off for lunch. Thanks for listening, guys.
Over and out.
Elle, can you finish with your bye?
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to Poolside Problems.
We hope we made you laugh a little and that you felt like you too were hiding under a duvet with us with a cup of coffee for some girl chats about our real problems and our silly poolside problems too.
If you enjoyed listening, we'd love to hear from you in a review below, and don't forget to subscribe.
If there's something you'd like us to open up the conversation about, or something we talked about today resonated with you, drop us a message on our Instagram at Poolside Problems and we will try to include it in future episodes.
And of course, nothing is TMI. We are all ears to anything else you'd like to share with us.
See you next week for more Poolside Problems. Touring out.